Hello everyone, I am Srijon Chakraborty and welcome to my Java tutorial. In last two tutorials we have learned about Java Access Modifier, and now we are going to learn about Java non-access modifier. For this tutorial we are going to learn about Java non-access modifier, static and the final keyword. So let's see how static work first. For this, let's create a class. Access creating test static. So here is our class, public class test static, and let's declare some variable which is static. For this, public static int I equals to 0, and let's declare a method which is static public static void my method. Let's some code out.println method my method. Okay, so here we can see our I variable is a static variable and my method is a static method. The benefit of a static method, that is, we don't have to create an object of test static class for accessing my method, and we don't have to create an object of test static class to access the variable I. So let's see how we can use it. For this, let's create a class. Okay, let's do it new class and write simple public static void main string array argument and curly brace. Okay, let's if we want to access that method which is named my method, we don't have to create an object of a test static. Let's see, if we create a test static ts equal to new static object, and then try to access that method and that variable. So we can see my method from here. So how can we access that method or that variable? We can't access by creating the object of the test static class. So here is the process. You can access that method and that variable directly. So let's see how it is. Here I declare a temporary variable and let's type test static dot. So we can see the static variable and the static method create an object of test static class for accessing the static variable inside the test static class, and we don't have to create an object of test static class for accessing the static method inside test static class. Test static dot my method, and let's run it. So we can see the output of my method. Okay, new method. Okay, the output will show soon. So here the output my method is done. So that's how we can access the static method and the variable from the different class. One more thing about static is, if we want to create multiple instances of that test static class, we can create it, but the only one copy of the static variable inside that class will exist. So it seems that we can create multiple instances of that class, but we can create multiple instances for this static variable, and we have to access that method by typing the class name dot and then the method name. So that's how static works. And one last more thing is, we can't call a normal method from a static method. Let's see. Public void normal method here. So we want to try to call that method from a static method. Let's say normal method. We will have an error because this method is a non-static method. If we want to call any method from a static method, the method what we are trying to call, it should be a static. So if I type static here, okay, static so then the error will be removed. So we are done with static keyword. Let's see how final works. For this, let's create a variable named public final integer fi equals to 0. So here we are initiating the value of the fi, which is final. So it means we can't change the value of fi from anywhere. So let's see if we want to change the value of the variable from a new method or anywhere. Public void final, then what happens actually? Phi equals to 3. So we can see we got an error. So we cannot assign a value to final variable ai. So that's how final variable works. We can change the value of the final variable. Now let's see how final method works. For this, let's create a method public final void my final, declare some variable integer I, integer PO, for example. So when we are assigning a method with final keyword, then we can't change that method. It means we can't override that method from the subclasses. Let's see. Then let's see extend the class teststatic in new class. Extend test static. Okay, let's try to override that method which is named myFinal. Public void what happens? So it has an error that myFinal is in new class, cannot be override. myFinal is a in test static, overridden method is final. So myFinal method is an final method, so we can't override it from extended class. It means we can't override the final method from the subclass. So one last more thing about final, we can declare our class as a final. So let's declare our test static class as a final. Public final, and let's see what happens. Here we can see an error. So what is it and what it is? Cannot inherit from the final test static. because the test static class is a final class, and final class cannot be extended or inherited. That's how final actually work. Thank you.